Hi, everybody. I wanted to speak today a little bit about how do we overcome the feelings of worry and anxiety in our life. We're all going through different obstacles. We're all trying to get to the next level in our life. And we tend to worry about what's going to go wrong, how we're not going to get it, how we just know we're going to fail. And all of these little self sabotagers in our psyche will come out when we're trying to create change. Sometimes actually your life could be really good, but then there's that story of when is the shit going to hit the fan? When is the other shoe going to drop? And I see this with a lot with my clients, especially those who are actually doing well. They'll still have a ruminating anxiety saying it's all going to go, or at any moment that's it, it can go away. And something that I've helped a client with recently, which I think would be really important to tell everybody here, is the idea of instead of just trying to change the way you self talk or trying to sit down and write a gratitude list, which those of course help, it's actually changing the story of your destiny. So if you have a story that like everything's going to go wrong, or if things are going right, it's just a matter of time until you lose it, take action by either giving charity or volunteering your time or both. Honestly, I think both is great and really the most helpful thing, because what that does is that you claim your stake in the universe, you claim your stake to the divine, saying, I am grateful for what's happening and I trust it. I trust it enough to give my time away. I trust it enough to give a little bit of my wealth away because I know that I'm in a flow. I know that I'm part of something that's bigger than myself, like a river of abundance. And I know I'm in the right place. So that means I'm going to keep releasing a little bit to help it flow in more. So there's a couple reasons why this works energetically. I'm going to explain why. I'm going to start first with volunteering. So what volunteering does is it puts you in the giving shoes. It puts you in the point of view of the way that God sees us. It puts you in the point of reference where you can now give to the world, just like when you're part of the world, God gives to you. So you're actually changing places for a moment. You're opening up your receptors for giving, which also giving and receiving, they're two sides of the same coins, which will also clear out and cleanse your ability to receive. Two, you see how good it feels to give. It's actually really wholesome. It's really nourishing to spend a Sunday morning out at a food pantry or a homestead or tutoring somebody. It feels really good to give your time. You see the benefits of what your time does, what your contribution does. And that makes you aware that when you're asking for what you want next or for that next level up, or when you're dreaming about it, or let's say you're in your good place and you don't want it to go away, you realize how good it feels to be given that from the provider. So you know it's not the story of your worthiness or whether you deserve it or not. It feels good for the universe to give. You want to give. And when you give, it feels good. So therefore, it works the same when you're receiving. You're not an exception to this rule. When you're receiving more, it feels like the world is clicking into place in a certain way. And the same thing is working when you're giving. And you're letting yourself come into that flow of the giving and receiving. Another really important factor is that you embody safety in the world. When you don't feel safe, when you feel anxiety, when you feel worry, you're just projecting that into the world. So when you go and you give charity or when you go and you volunteer, you're actually stepping up to a different part of yourself that you maybe actually could be really proud of. I've seen it in myself when I'm a camp counselor. Suddenly I'm super wise and I got it all together, what as opposed to when I'm just trying to do things on my own. I might not have my shit together as much, but when I go into that provider mode or that role of being somebody who's organized and has it all together, I step up to the plate. And so will you when you show up to the food pantry, when you show up to the library organization, when you show up to anything that you choose to give your time to, it will bring out a different side of you, which will also be so reassuring to you when those moments of wobbliness or anxiety come up. You'll have that to point back to of actually, I know myself in this other role, and this is how it is. When you become safety for the world will then reflect safety back to you. So you can become a safe harbor for the world. When you become part of the solution, that idea that everything is a problem or soon to be problem also goes away. It does a healing inside of your nervous system there because you're aware that you now have become part of the solution. So therefore, the parts of you that believe in the problem more actually are aware that there's a bigger solution than the problem itself. So you're doing it for the world, but you're also doing it for you. It's a really cool life hack. Same thing works with charity. When you give 10% of your money to charity, and again, it can be in anything you believe in. And something I always tell my clients is the charity that you give is really to the younger version of yourself. So if you were a nerd and theater saved your life, you go and you give charity to theater. If you were somebody who had food scarcity in life, you give to a food pantry. You give to the different parts of yourself. Don't create some type of story in your mind that only certain charities count more than others. They're all important. And each person has the gift of clarity of what helped them in their life so they can continue giving to that. So the charity, and same thing with volunteering, you volunteer, don't volunteer to the hardest, don't become a firefighter if you're afraid of fires, because that's the highest form of volunteering. Do something that feels good for you. Do something that actually brings out the best in you. Okay. So, anyways, back to charity. When you're giving that 10%, what you're doing is you're showing that actually I'm not at a cap of what I can hold and what I can receive. It's just, it works the same way like a sink. There needs to be the faucet, but there also needs to be the drain. Money wants to move, money wants to be in flow. And if you're holding on to it really, really tightly because you're scared, it will flow anyways. It's just going to show up through tickets, through random expenses, through surprise accidents, and things like that that you'll have to get fixed, and your money will start being taken out. So instead, just bring a little bit more intention and allow the drain to come in of saying, like, if I give 10% to things I believe in, my money is going to things that I intend for. And I again become that safety for the world. I again show the divine that I feel safe enough to give. So therefore, I can receive even more. Because when I'm not in the panic mode, I actually am a wider and more open container for receiving. So that's my little life hack. If you're feeling stressed, worried, anxiety, nervous about anything, give of your time and give of your wealth in the areas that you relate to and resonate with the most. Anyways, hope you're all going to have a great week, and see ya.